Hi, and welcome to this AI in C# video on the Microsoft Agent Framework. Today we're going to look into a bunch of common AI tools that are built so you don't have to. So let's jump into a demo first and then see the code afterwards. So here I have an AI agent. It's just an OpenAI behind the scenes, and it's using my Microsoft Agent Framework. And I've given it a bunch of tools, so let's just see what it can do. So first of all, we can say hello. And it will come back with that. And we can ask it, what is the time? Something that would normally not work. But it has a tool for that, and it can tell me what my local time is right now. I'll just clear the thing here. Then we also, in a lot of these videos, have seen that we could get the weather using a weather tool, but it has also always so far been a dummy tool. So the normal, what is the weather like for in Paris, has been kind of dull. But now it's actually hooked up to a real tool. And we get real life weather information. So the weather is raining, apparently. It's 2.5 degrees. What it feels like, gentle breeze, and a lot of extra information on this. So weather is conquered here. We also have things like we can go in and work with files. So I can ask, what files do I have? And it calls a get files tool. There are no files in the. What about subfolders? So there's two subfolders. So what files are there in main folder and subfolders? It can work with multiple tools here. And we can also create a file. Create a new file in the main folder. Creating the audience of YouTube. So it made a file like that. Show the content of that file. The content file is hello YouTube audience, welcome to our channel. Let's jump back again here. Let's just try and ask, give me the top news on CNN. Now it calls a get content of URL. So, okay, so there's not news headlines, but it has various categories. Tell me about world news. Okay, it's again headlines, so, but okay, it has something here. So headlines it's not, but it has the news. Finally, we might have something we want to call using an API or something. So, for example, what Trello boards do I have? So it says I have one Trello board, and show me my Trello cards. And it can show me that I have 3 Trello cards here with the links to them. So we can try and grab one of these links, go to our website and see if it's correct. And I need to log in 1 second. So I was not logged in with this account. I have multiple accounts, but now logged in, and we can see that it opened this using this URL. So how can I do all this? I must have written a bunch of code in order to do this. And that is not the case. If we can get to the Visual Studio, there we have it. So all I had to do in order to do this was to install the Microsoft Agent Framework Toolkit that I have here. And I use the Azure OpenAI one, which underneath it has the Agent Framework Toolkit tools. This can also be used without the Agent Framework. You can see it's just have a dependency of Microsoft Extensions AI. So it doesn't need to the more advanced stuff if need be. And what I've done is I've made a normal agent, just like we see before. I gave it a little thing about giving it some Trello API key and tokens and told it where I wanted to look for files. But beyond that, I've not written a single line of code for these tools because they are part of this NuGet package. So first up, there's time tools. So you simply just make a list of tools that you want to give to a AI agent down here. And then you go in and just give them the timetools.all, or you give them which individual tool you wish. And these tools can be controlled in various different ways. So for example, the local tool here, you can control if it should have a time zone parameter or not, or if you want to control the time, so the local time everywhere. If not, it will just take the local machine's local time. But you can get the tools like that. Then we can get weather tools. Weather tools requires an API key from Open Weather Map. It's free to get, and you have a rate limit, of course, but it's not very difficult to work with. So you just give it an API key. You can give it preferred units, either metric or imperial. And if you want to control what HTTP client you're using, you can control that in. Right now, this only have one tool, but if there's more tools, there's all that can give back everything. But this is open source. You can contribute to more things for weather in the oceans or by location in a GPS map and so on. And right now I'm using Open Weather Map. There could be multiple providers. I've prepared the code, so it's ready for that. Then there's file system tools, where we can just get all the tools. We can get all the read tools if you just wanted to be able to read but never be able to write, or just be able to write but never be able to read, or the individual tools you can have. So copy tools, create tools, delete tool, file access tools, folder access tools, get the content of files, and so on. So all the file operations you need. And you can control a bunch of things like encoding, and you can confine the tool to work in only certain folders. So you can say it can only work on the import data folder, but not my C:\Windows folder. So you can give a collection of folders that it's allowed to use and subfolders for that. Then we have website tools. Again, only one tool so far, but just get the content of a page. And we can give some options for that, like giving an HTTP factory again, and seeing if we want to strip it of markup, meaning remove all the HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and just give the raw text back. So you can see these are kind of crude tools, but for an AI, they are very, very powerful, as you saw in the early demo. And the final tool I have made is very, very powerful because that's an HTTP client tool. So you can essentially give it delete, get, head, patch, post, and put on the fly. And if you just give it API keys or have a non-authenticated API, it can begin to work from that in this manner. So the tools are very, very granular. You can just drop all these all in here and get a bunch of features at the cost of a lot of tokens. Or you can pinpoint exactly what tools you wish to have by going in and saying, oh, I want to have it be able to get things, but nothing more. And then you, of course, save some tools. Because if we set a breakpoint here and run it, and I will show this one in 1 second, we can see that it's a total of 24 different tools with various names and descriptions. And beyond that, these will of course cost a lot of tokens. So if I run again and just say hello, without even calling the tools, just the definitions alone for all these tools. Again, I don't see a real world where you put all of these into one scenario. This is just for demo. You see you almost spent 1,000 tokens, which is kind of a lot, kind of not, when we're down with the very small models, like in this case I'm using GPT-4 Nano that could still do all this. If you want full control of absolutely everything, you either need to go and you put in each one of the tools by yourself, or you go into the tools factory. So we have seen the tools factory before, where we could get tools and get tools from Agent Skills and MCP. But you can also get all these tools that I've just shown from here. They're mostly here for discovery. And if you do, you can see you can control absolutely everything. You can say, should this tool be included? What should the name of the tool be? If you don't provide anything, it will go in and just use the default I have put in. Put in a description or remove the description to save tokens at the risk of the AI not being able to call it. And every single tool can even have options, like for example the get local tool, where I have here overwritten that it's not giving a time zone, but I always tell it the local time, according to this chatbot, is Copenhagen in my case. So again, if we run it one more time, you have absolutely control of everything here. So we can ask, what tools do you have? And it can again show you the exact tools you have. It has, so you can work with the various things. So these are all free. You simply just need to go grab either one of the Agent Framework Toolkit options for Google, Anthropic, XAI, and so on. Or if you don't want to use this and just want the tools, you can go to Agent Framework Toolkit, just tools, and then you don't get any of the other things. And of course, whenever you new an agent here, it's you that are in full control of what tools are here. Of course, I'm not just putting these tools in without anything. If we do not give it tools, it will not be able to understand any of all this we just talked about. what is the time? And it's back to have no idea what is going on. But grab the tools, go be a contributor of the GitHub repo if there's certain tools you wish to also include. If there's anything you feel like that should also be included as common tools, because this will become kind of a marketplace for tools. And I will slowly put more and more tools into this project. But with that, thank you for attending. See you in the next one.